This lesson is about solid stance 1, a basic defensive kata. Even though this is a basic kata, most of our intermediate students don't know this. The reason I say it's basic is that it only uses 2 stances, 2 blocks, and 1 striking technique. It's defensive because we start off blocking an attacker. This is a perfect opportunity to practice kata with the aim of perfect technique. We need to pay attention to our body position, posture, having our eyes on the target, visualizing our opponent, coordinating our breathing, and our stances. Before we begin learning the kata, I want to review the 2 stances that we're going to be using, the 2 blocks, and the strike, which is a reverse punch. Let's check our back stance. With the back stance, I want to have my feet at right angles. I'm going to show the classic back stance first. 60% of my weight on my back leg, 40% on my front. I shouldn't be able to see my toes over my back knee. So I have a lot of bend in my back knee, a slight bend in my front knee. My body is vertical up and down, and my heels are on approximately the same line. In this particular kata, the back stance gets modified somewhat. I'm going to move my back foot out for a wider stance. And you'll see as we start the kata, this is because I'm going to use this stance to turn into a front stance. So check your back stance. You might want to check it on both sides. You can start in the classical back stance and move to a wider back stance. Again, the back stance. I have 60% of my weight on my back leg, 40% on my front, my heels at right angles. Right now they're on the same line. I'm going to move into a wider stance for this kata from the other side here. The other stance that we're going to use is a front stance. With the front stance, I want to start off in ready position with my feet shoulder width apart. You can check this by swinging your arms, and they should be brushing slightly against your gi pants. With the front stance, I want to step straight back. Both of my feet are still facing forward like they were in ready position. Now I have my front knee bent, my back leg straight. I need to have enough bend in my front knee that I can't see my toes. Students make the mistake sometime of stepping at an angle. You can still straighten out your back leg, keep your front knee bent, but notice now that my hip is turned. So again, I want to have both of my feet facing the front. They stay facing the front when I step into the stance, like this. So my back foot should not be turned out and my hip at an angle. Let's try it from the other side. Step straight back. Check. Make sure you can't see your toes over your front knee, that your back leg's straight. As you go into this front stance, it's really important to straighten out the back leg when you finish stepping into the stance. Again, both sides. Straight back, straight back. The 2 stances again are the modified back stance and the front stance. We're going to practice the 2 blocks used in this kata. The first one is an upper block, which is designed to block our head. To do these, let's do it from a side leg stance. I'm going to step into a side leg stance, which is double shoulder width apart. Remember, the front stance was shoulder width apart. Now I'm 2 shoulder widths apart. My feet should be facing forward, just like in the front stance. I want to have plenty of bend in my knees. We want to keep the bend in our knees while we're practicing hand techniques to build up strength in our thighs. This is going to make our kicks much stronger. So let's start with our hands on our hip. To do the upper block, I'm going to bring my fist facing my head up to my shoulder. I'm going to rotate my arm into a block at a 45-degree angle. Notice that it's blocking my entire head. If I have it over here, it's not going to do much good. It's blocking my entire head. I don't want to have it really close to my head because an attacker coming at my head could knock my arm right into my head. Keeping the block in position, I move my other hand up to my shoulder, opposite shoulder, and I move both hands at once into the block. So up, notice that my hand stays in position until it gets to my shoulder, block. Let's do a few of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Notice that as I do those, I'm inhaling at the beginning of the technique and exhaling at the end. I want to tighten up only at the end of the technique. So as I raise my hand, I'm relaxed, and at the very end, I tighten up. That's going to be true for the other block as well that we're going to do. Now we'll review the downward block. The downward block is a great block to block a kick, or it could block any kind of technique coming at the middle of your body. To start this block, I'm going to move my hand up to my opposite ear and then block across my body, ending at the edge of my body. I don't need to block way out here because I'm not there if anybody's hitting there. So up to my opposite ear and down. I'm going to start the next block with that block still in position. Opposite ear, I want to come close to my arm and move both arms simultaneously at the end. Up, close to my arm, block. Let's do a few of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The strike used in a solid stance 1 is a reverse punch. Let's review the fundamentals of a good punch. Extend your arm in front of you with the palm up. Roll your fingers in, making a tight fist. Put your thumb on top. It's really important that the thumb be on top and not tucked in. Then you want to rotate your hand over, and there should be a straight line with no bend in your wrist so that you hit the target with your front 2 knuckles. These knuckles in the back are much weaker, and you're likely to break your hand if you're not hitting with the front 2 knuckles. You want to make sure that your target is correct. When I do this, it's most effective if it hits my opponent right about here in the solar plexus to knock the wind out. So let's look at a few of these punches. Step out into your basic training stance, a satellite stance, with both feet facing forward and a good bend in your knees, one hand on your hip and the other punch extended. So what you want to do is to bring the hand off of your hip with your fist up. When you're about halfway there, roll it over and move both hands at once. So up, so I inhale at the beginning of this technique and exhale hard at the end. Let's do a few of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to practice some walking drills, moving from front stance to front stance. When we do this, the step we take is called a circle step, which is really a semicircle. So start with one hand on your hip, the other out in the punch. Bring your back foot up to the middle, then move both hands at the same time, moving in a circle. Now I'm going to turn around and do it in the opposite direction. Let's move to the first set of the kata. I start in ready position. I see an attacker coming at my left toward my head. I'm going to do an upper block using that modified back stance, then twist, pushing off from my back leg into a reverse punch. The punch is a reverse punch because it's coming from my back leg. However, you'll notice that when I'm blocking, I'm moving forward with that back leg, and I move forward with every back stance in the kata. Look. Again. One more time. Turn into that punch, engaging your hip into the back stance. Again. One mistake you don't want to make is to lean when you do that upper block. I found myself doing this when I reviewed video footage. If I go like this, that's a very weak stance. Somebody can easily knock me off my feet. The fix to that is more bend in your back leg. So look. Now look over your punching arm and somebody is coming from the right. Again. Look. Now I'm going to do a downward block to the front to set up the next set. Let's do that much again. I'm going to do solid stance 1 coming toward the camera so that you can see what it looks like if you were sitting in front of me. Now that we've worked on the stances, the blocks, and the strike that's in the kata, we're going to put it all together into solid stance 1. I'm going to be moving to a different location so that you can watch the kata from the side. This is a defensive kata because it starts off blocking an attacker. However, we move forward in the entire kata. I'm going to see my attacker coming from the left. I'm going to block. I'm going to push off my back leg, turning my hip, engaging it into that reverse punch. I see somebody coming from the opposite direction. Now I'm going to go down the middle, just like an attack form 1. Circle steps. Block. Advancing forward. Block. Now I'm going to look down the middle over my hand that's on my hip. Notice that I used one step to get back to ready.
Go ahead.
Solid stance 1 from another angle. I'm going to turn around with my back toward the camera so that you can see what it would look like if we were doing it in class in a line together. we're going to finish this lesson by doing the kata together with our back to the camera. But I want to point out this time that we've left something out, and that is the kiyas or yells in the kata. Now where you put those yells is somewhat personal. It's where you want to show some emphasis. Where I like to put these is at the end of the circle steps going forward in each direction.